the idea that the Chinese government would engage in such activity is hardly earth-shattering, in my view. Your thoughts?
So people keep using the word escalation, and I don't think this is an escalation on the part of the United States. This goes to actually something that's been part of the U.S. strategy for the last 2 years, and it's called reciprocity, which basically means is why should we let the Chinese do stuff here that the Chinese wouldn't come close to letting us do in their country? So we essentially, when Americans go to China, they're highly regulated, they are supervised, they are surveilled upon. The access to the consulate is highly watched. Basically, China has had a free lunch here. They come here, nobody pays. They do whatever they want. You have students, researchers, and everything else. They've used that to undertake a massive intelligence apparatus. So any value that we get out of our consulate in consulates in China, it doesn't even compare to what the Chinese do here. And basically this is the U.S. government saying, why don't we do that? We give your diplomats unfettered access here. Our diplomats are tightly controlled. Everything you guys come here, you meet with anybody you want. We go there, you restrict who we meet with. And the United States says, you know what? Why should we treat you better than you treat us? That's ending, and it's ending now. And they've actually started this like a year ago. And I think the closing of this consulate is a natural progression of that. And I agree. I think that the timing of the indictment against the two individuals for spying in the United States is just coincidental. That is direct to the base of this consulate. The United States, look, no more. We're going to do this.
Yeah. It does seem to me that going back at the end of the Mao Zedong era of paranoia, it was a worthwhile experiment, an effort to try and bring China into the world of civilized nations and civilized behavior, and it failed, as far as I'm concerned. And that you can chalk it up to good intentions, and that's about it. And I would hope that the rest of the world is aware of what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with a very predatory nation which intends to avoid civilized behavior as much as possible with the rest of the world. And personally, if we had nothing more to do with China at all, trade or anything, that wouldn't bother me one bit. And if I got to pay more money for a broom, well, so what?
So one of the criticisms I hear, I've heard this from the Chinese, I've heard it echo here in the United States, is, this is just political. The Trump administration is just doing this because, they think it's going to get them some votes. Well, look, the reality is all the evidence points to the contrary. First of all, this isn't new. They didn't just get started being tough on China. This has been a plank of the U.S. administration since day one. So this is consistent with all the behavior that they've done. The second thing is look, in the last 2 years, and it's not just us, everybody says this, the Australians, the Japanese, the Indians, the British, the Chinese have gotten a lot more aggressive. And it's more important than ever to push back on that. And the third thing is, look, this is bipartisan. Democrats, just as much as Republicans, are incredibly concerned about Chinese malicious and aggressive behavior. And, of course, the last thing is if this isn't going to get Trump any votes. I mean, we've had a succession of very senior officials come out, and make very important comments on China. But this isn't about vote getting because, look, everybody's going to be tough on China. People that don't like Trump, they're not going to vote for him because he's tough on China. They'll just vote for the other guy, and they'll say, well, we hope he'll be tough on China. So all evidence suggests, no, this is not politics. This is the new wave of foreign policy, which is they're just not taking China's malicious and destabilizing activity and letting it run around the world kind of unrestrained like a wildfire. That's the reality of where we are today in the world. And I agree with you. Other countries are stepping up, in part because if the United States is willing to stand up, we are too. We've seen it in Australia, Japan, Britain. We just saw France take a strong stand against China. I think this is where we're going.